Hey, you guys, it's Kyle from Markham Reptiles, and today I'm going to cover a really difficult subject, and that is snakes eating people. Alright, guys, so this is my girl Eva, and Eva is a female reticulated python. Eva is a beautiful animal. Reticulated pythons are the longest species of snake in the world, and they get pretty big. I'll put some pictures up here for you guys of some larger reticulated pythons that I've dealt with, and they're definitely big animals. So when you're talking about snakes eating human beings, you're talking about reticulated pythons. And let's be clear, you're talking about reticulated pythons in the wild. There has never been a confirmed case of any snake ever eating a human being in captivity. Okay? We're going to try for the first time on camera today. Eva's going to go ahead and eat me. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. But there's never been a confirmed case of a snake eating a human of any size, adult or child, in captivity ever. Go ahead, hit the Google, look it up, search it. It's true, okay? There's never been a confirmed case of a snake of any species eating a human of any size in captivity ever. So that being said, here's some other facts you may want to know. There's never been a case of a Burmese python eating a human ever. There's also never been a case of an anaconda eating a human being ever of any size. Also, there's actually never been a case of an anaconda even killing somebody. Okay, I'll just throw that in there too. So when you're talking about people being eaten by snakes, you are talking about reticulated pythons, and you're not talking about Eva, you're talking about wild reticulated pythons, okay? In very rural areas of Indonesia. That's where this is happening, and reticulated pythons are the only snakes, and I only found 6 cases. So, you know, 6 documented cases where snakes have actually eaten human beings. I'm talking a lot about snakes right now, which hopefully you like, and that's why you're subscribed to this channel. If you're not subscribed, you should be. But we're going to go ahead and switch to Dan, Snake Facts, where he has a fact today that's not actually about a snake. You guys check it out.
What is going on, everybody? This is Dan with Shack Scales. I have my green iguana Opal here with me. We're chilling up at her basking site right now. Reptile fact for today: iguanas can actually be litter trained, which makes them an awesome free roam pet. Pretty similar to a cat. Now you know.
Thanks so much, Dan. Reticulated pythons are the only snake that's been known to eat people. They are sensitive to heat, vibrations, and loud noises. All of these 3 things means that you're really not going to find reticulated pythons in major cities. Only in very rural areas. They avoid human settlements, okay? And also, snakes have a lot of trouble with trying to even eat a human because of our shoulders, right? Our shoulders do not fit correctly into a snake, okay? They're too wide, and it's something about the way that our body is built because we stand on 2 legs and not 4 legs like most of their prey, that we are not typically recognized as food even by wild snakes. So that's why you see, for example, the Burmese pythons have never eaten a single human. And anacondas have never eaten a single human. And that's because they don't see us as food to begin with. So why did these 6 cases happen? There's a couple of reasons that they could have happened. And the number one reason is likely mistaken identity. If you know anything about snakes, you know they're ambush hunters. They sit in a spot and they wait for something to walk by and they grab it, right? People will sit there and say all day, oh, your snake is sizing you up, and different things like that. And these are all just myths. That's not true at all. Snakes do not size people up. I'm going to quote the great Tom Crutchfield here. Snakes are smart, but they're not PhDs, you guys. The snake is not making a graph of your weight and height and writing it down and recording it and making pie charts and stuff like this to present to the snake committee so that they can all decide when to eat you. It is not a big conspiracy against you. Snakes are pretty simple when it comes to hunting. Pythons, for example, have heat pits so that they can see infrared, for lack of a better way to put it. They see the heat of our skin. They see the heat of our eyes. That is actually, the inside of our body externally. So they see the heat from our eyes, and they actually see the heat from our breath as well. I'm not trying to say that you guys have hot breath. We know that you guys all have very clean breath. But these are things that they see, right? So a big python in Indonesia, waiting in maybe a rice field, for example, waiting for an animal to come by, and someone walks by and starts picking berries in the bush that it's in. So we've got heat, we've got rustling, and they may not see the full human being, so they're just seeing, part of what looks like maybe an animal. So we've got mistaken identity, okay? And then this snake that's been waiting for food for maybe a month or more, we don't know how long this snake has been waiting for food in that same spot, just strikes. It's an instant decision. It's quick. There's not a lot of time to sit there and figure out what's what. The snake just goes for it, and that is most likely what has happened in these 6 cases that I could find, in the past 100 years or so. Obviously there may have been cases way further back, before documentation and stuff like that, but I was able to find 6 cases in the last 100 years of this occurring, and these are most likely due to mistaken identity. So you guys may be wondering, what stops mistaken identity in captivity? Well, the answer is routines. Like I said, these snakes are not PhDs, but reticulated pythons are actually probably the second smartest snake in the world. Due to the research we have, they are the second smartest snake in the world, and that is behind king cobras. King cobras are obviously venomous. Reticulated pythons are not venomous. Reticulated pythons will notice your routines. They know that you are the one that brings the food. Now, you may be thinking, oh, they're going to associate you with food. Well, that's why you do something called tap training, okay? So if I'm going to get out Eva or any reticulated python, you can actually do this with a lot of other snakes as well. I just go and I tap her on the head, and every time I tap her on the head with this hook, usually I actually use this end right here. It's not cold, it's soft, and it's just a bit nicer, I think, to use this end. But you tap her with the hook, and then you pick her up after that. Give her some time to wake up if she's asleep. Remember, these snakes may be completely asleep, and like I said, they're making this decision in a split second of whether or not the thing in front of them is food. So a snake could be waking up completely out of sleep. You want to tap them on the head, let them know, hey, it's time to be picked up. And now you have built a routine. So you tap this snake on the head, build a routine, and every time before you pick this snake up, tap it on the head. That counts for if you take it out of the enclosure to clean, you put it in something else. When you open the other thing that you put it in, tap it again, restart the routine, let it know you're about to be picked up. And then when you feed the snake, you don't tap it, okay? You just put the food in, not with your hand, I'm just using this, but with some tongs. You can use a grabber. I have a long grabber that I use here, and things like that to give you some distance. Your hand's nowhere near it. It's smelling the food, it's seeing the food, and you've now built a routine for feeding and for picking this animal up for maintenance or just to hold it because it's your pet. And none of this involves the snake having to ambush you in a rice field, right? So in captivity, the reason that no one has ever been eaten by a snake is because it's far less likely in captivity that your snake is going to view you as food. All right, you guys, I got my dog Ghost here. He's a blue-nosed pit bull. He's very heavy, and he's not happy with me. So we're going to keep this segment short. I'm going to actually go ahead and put him down. Ugh. That was not easy. Okay, so Ghost may not be the best example because he's a pit bull, and like snakes, pit bulls have a horrible reputation when they don't necessarily need to. Ghost is a 100-pound blue-nosed pit bull. He's a really nice dog, though, okay? You see, he let me pick him up, even if it was only for a moment, and he's a wonderful dog. He's great with kids, and he is just a beautiful heart, beautiful animal, okay? But we're talking about dogs for a reason, because we need a point of comparison. We're talking about snakes in captivity and dogs in captivity, okay? So I'm just going to give you some statistics. In the last 10 years, 0.43 people per year were killed by large constrictors, okay? In captivity in the United States. So 0.43. 0.4, I don't know if I'm writing 4 correctly, 0.43 people per year, I'll put it on the screen, have been killed by large constrictors in the last 10 years in the U.S. From 2011 to 2021, 43 people a year were killed by dogs, okay? And from 2021 to 2023, it went up to 69 people a year were killed by dogs. So on the low end, that is 100 times more people being killed by captive dogs than by captive snakes. Now you may say, Kyle, a lot more people have dogs than snakes. And you would be right, okay? But if 100 times more people had snakes than the numbers were equal, then it would still not be a problem, right? Because we're not seeing the news talking about how much of a problem it is that we have domesticated dogs. But if a snake kills somebody, it's big time breaking news. If 100 times more people had snakes, the numbers would then be the same as dogs, okay? And dogs are a staple, right? Snakes now have been domesticated for 50 plus years. They're pets. I think that non-venomous snakes are highly misunderstood, and people really need to do some education and find out what makes these animals tick, how they see the world, how they see food, and things like that, and it will completely change your perspective. They've been domesticated for 50 plus years, and having a pet snake to me is the same as having a pet dog. And having a reticulated python is kind of like having a German Shepherd, a big pit bull like Ghost, or maybe an even bigger dog than that, okay? Like a Cane Corso or something like that, which all are perfectly fine to have. You just got to be a responsible individual. And when it comes down to it, it's the same thing with a large snake. You just have to be a responsible individual, and you guys will be completely fine. So I want to point out, I'm wearing this really cool shirt right here. This shirt gets me a lot of compliments. This is from my boy Aaron Barbosa from Bosa Reptiles. I'm going to link his stuff in the description. He's super cool. As you guys know, I'm now affiliated with ReptiChip, great supplier of coconut chip. I'm going to link their stuff in the description, and USARK as well, because they fight for our rights to keep animals. I'm not affiliated with USARK in any way, besides the fact that I'm a member. I donate to USARK. They're super important. You should be a member as well. Their stuff is in the description as well. Let me know, guys, what you thought of this video. Did you like it? Like, subscribe, and hopefully you guys learned something. Have a good day. Much love.